Hello and good afternoon. And this video is titled "A Cry Comes Out of Egypt." Now, I heard about the unrest in Egypt, and they were calling it somewhat like a revolution. This is gonna happen periodically throughout the world, even in the third world countries, even the worlds that are really poor are going to start becoming violent towards the establishment. Even those that have nothing, those people that actually live in, dictatorships, are going to rise up, because it's part of a plan that you're probably not even aware of. The only reason I'm aware of it is I've had visions, and I've had kind of an insight. When I see things, I can perceive what they are. It's like discernment. You kind of discern to a certain degree. We have a part in all this, though. We do. We're all interwoven, interconnected as human beings, whether you believe you have a soul or not. But what I want to get on to here is about the unrest in Cairo, Egypt, and about the fact that this unrest is going to start settling in different places, like places you would never think that would happen. Okay? Maybe even here in the good U.S. of A. Because when you start taking provisions away from people, you start taking food and their basic, their struggle for life. You take away their food, you take away their shelter, and you take away their dignity. You think that you're going to be creating slaves out of these people. You can't do it. It is so ingrained into the psyche of mankind to survive and to overcome that you can only do these things so long before people's eyes are opened up to the truth of what's really around them. And I'm going to go into a little bit about the visions and dreams I've had throughout my life. I'm going to give a couple because I think it's time for people to hear some of these before everything escalates. Okay? Today, before I even knew about the riots in Cairo, even before I knew about all the violence that was going on there, where thousands took to the streets, I had this deep desire to start food storage. And usually I do things at the last minute. And knowing that I do things at the last minute, and that's the way I project things, well, right now must be the last minute for not only me, but for a lot of other people to get prepared. And you say, get prepared for what? This has been going on for centuries, people fighting one another. You got to understand, you got to look at all the things that are happening, not just one thing. I told everybody this before about anything that happens in your life. There are variables and factors that are involved here. People want to look to one single thing causing the problem. They go New World Order, they go rich people and globalists trying to control us. Yeah, it's all of them. All of the above. Even the elite groups have divisions, okay? And they're not all in the same game together. It's a dog-eat-dog world, right? Whether you're poor, rich, middle class, or upper class, or super class. It doesn't matter. The whole world is going to be in tribulation, in trial. Man against man, family against family, things like that. I mean, stay strong as a family. Don't feed into, your human nature and be evil. Do what's right. It's hard, but do what's right this time. But now I'm going to go on to the visions that I've had in my life, throughout my life. One of the visions I had to tell a church. I had to go to this church. I wasn't really a member of the church, but there's several times in my life I've had to go and tell people about my visions because the Lord said, go and tell them. And I did. The one was about a vast wheat field, a vision I had. I can tell you the whole story about it. It's pretty unique. It really proved itself to be a vision, and really proved to be something that was beyond my comprehension, so it had to have been God, or what we call God. There was a vast wheat field, and he said the wheat represented the people who have yet to believe, yet to understand or believe. And he put a sickle down, and then this person with a white robe and a gold sash, kind of ironic, white robe, gold sash, Jesus or God. And he walked over to this wheat stack. Like in the fields how they tie up wheat. And there's this wheat stack, and it had a a white string tied around it. So I asked him the question. I said, what is the wheat stack? He said, that's the body of believers. And then I asked, well, what's the white string that's tying it together? He said, that's the Holy Spirit that ties the body of Christ together. Okay? And then he picked it up and said, I take this and make bread that all may eat. And I went, oh my gosh, that is prophetic. That's in the Word of God. And it wasn't imagination. There's a difference between an imagination or a dream. A vision is a very vivid account of something that happened. Okay? That it's actually an actual memory that's in you, injected into your mind. That's the difference between a dream and the difference between imagination. A dream is fuzzy, an imagination is far outreached, but a vision is precise and to the point, as if it actually happened, an actual memory, a lasting memory in your mind. Okay? That's a vision. And it's just like putting your hands over your eyes and stepping into it. Stepping into that realm, or whatever you want to call it, spiritual world. It's so real. You know, you can call it crazy, that's fine. But I'm going to tell you the things I've seen, and I know they're going to happen. You know, they say a prophet is only seen as a prophet if his prophecies fulfill itself. Okay? So one, I had a dream in New York, above Pennsylvania, you know, like towards New York City and stuff. It was covered with water, and it was very silent out. You couldn't hear anything. There wasn't nothing really here, just a dead silence. And I was in this boat with another person. The person was pulling the boat, and I was just sitting there. And my mind wasn't really focused on anything. It's just like a relief from all of whatever has happened. I couldn't explain it, but I was there. I accepted it. I accepted the fact of what was happening. Well, I'm in this boat, and it's the sun. You could feel the sun, but it was different. It was kind of like a foggy day, but it wasn't actual fog. I can't explain it. So it might be some kind of natural anomaly or something like that. It happens when, you know, there's large amounts of water that encompass the earth or something. But that's what I seen. And okay, and then after that, I also in the same vision, but in a different place, there was a muddy area with trees. There were still trees. I could see trees and stuff like that. And there's garages. And there's all these canned goods in these garages, and people were either breaking into them or going in there and getting food. And no one was stopping them, so apparently there wasn't that many people around in that area. The people that prepared there were no longer there. We were just going in there and getting food. It was there. Survival. So I'm thinking some people are going to get caught unaware of what's going to happen. And they say, like, the wealth of sinners laid up in store for the righteous. So that prepared food that's there that the other people didn't get a chance to use is going to be there for some people. Whether it be me or somebody else. I don't know if the vision is directed at me or directed at other people. Because I'm 44, so I don't think, you know, if the things escalate, I might be pretty old before they get to the point where it's, well, I'm going to be wrong. It may be sooner. But because he did say he cut the time short. Now, like I said, now I had another dream. But I believe it was in a place in Africa, and the UN had these green tanks. Okay, they had a machine gun on top, mounted on top. They weren't like a regular tank with a long freaking tube-like thing that shoots projectiles, but it was like a tank. Maybe someone can help me out if they understand what they use in the UN as far as military is concerned. It was a large tank. It was like a real bright green. The only way to describe it, you just see it. It's standing out like a neon green or something. Okay, and it was firing at us, and we went around this building. Okay, but it was going around and shooting down people. Ironic, huh? And there were black people. That's why I associated with the area of Africa, because it was just all native black people there. Not being prejudiced. I'm just telling you what I've seen in the vision. And then I was in the desert. And I was on top of this small little concrete block building. No more the size, about 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot. You know, it was square. And I was on top of it, and I held an automatic weapon, and there was a transmission thing, like a satellite on there, And I go and I'm sitting there, and this is like a real memory. And in my mind, the memory I had when I was there is, what the hell am I doing here? What happened that I'm out here? So, you know, some things you can't explain, but I'm telling you, those areas that I'm talking about, New York, Africa, and, you know, desert, Cairo, so they're interconnected in some way. Now, you gotta understand, I think this is part of the globalist plan too, because they do have mind-modifying machines that project a magnetic pulse at people, which, you know, affects mood and behavior, so they can cause people to become irate or angry or mad or passive. Right now, the whole idea is to get these people to be aggressive against the establishment so they can have an excuse to take them down. But you got to remember, the human spirit is strong. And throughout every time in history, when someone rose up to just totally dominate them, they did it for so long, and then their regime was wiped out. And it regroups every so often, so history repeats itself. So what I'm saying here, what I'm trying to get at, is these things are planned to be done. By who? I have no clue. They're planned to be done. This is not just because people were upset or irate. Yeah, the food situation and the money situation would give any man enough reason to raise up in arms to protect himself and his family and his livelihood. Obviously, you don't want to be a poor peasant and controlled by a stocracy that treats you like crap. Okay? That's what happens when people get too rich and too wealthy. They see themselves as far above everybody else, and they do whatever they want to do. Just like the one lady said, when she didn't understand what was really going on, she said, let them eat cake. Because she had no clue what the real working class and the masses were going through. Just like the political system today. They look at you and they say, well, eat cake. Well, we don't eat cake. We survive on very little. Even if you think we have a lot, even the middle class don't have a lot no more. The middle class doesn't exist. I know I'm rambling on here a little bit, but I want to get this out to you. These things are going to happen. They are occurring daily, not weekly and monthly. Like people say, oh, this happens. It's just part of things. No, things don't happen all once, day after day, week after week, minute after minute, hour after hour. They don't happen that way. Most everything happens over time. Everything is escalated and accelerated at a higher rate. Even the ability to think and understand is accelerated. The aggravation and anger of man is accelerated. The goodness of man is accelerated to a certain point too, but it's not seen as much. But these are things that you got to be aware of. I'm saying this because I'm not professing that I am some great mind or some great prophet. I'm just somebody that has insight, has been given insight, the privilege into knowing that things are going to occur. And if you want to be worried about anything, you shouldn't be worried so much about war and famine so much. You guys should be worried about the weather. The weather is going to do more damage to people in this world than anything. Weather kills more people than anything. And with weather escalating at the rate it is, and it's getting worse, you're going to have worse winters. They're going to be colder winters. You're going to say, well, what's that have to do with global warming? A lot. Global warming makes it cold during the winter times, unless you get extreme heats, which we're never going to make that. If we get those extreme heats, we wouldn't be here. But with the gradual heats, with the gradual index increasing the Earth's heat, right, you're going to have very cold, very wet, very snowy winters, unbearable winters. And then you're going to have unbearable summers. And the humidity will be outrageous because the amount of moisture that's in the atmosphere or will be in the atmosphere at this time, like I told you, the water levels are going to rise and stuff like that because I've seen it. I felt it with my own, seen it with my own eyes basically. You could say I felt it with my own eyes because that's the way it was in the vision. So I just want you people out there to realize and get an idea that the things that are happening around you, it's not a game. Some of these things are actually projected, and they were told long ago they were going to happen. And some people are making them happen deliberately. And there's other people who are trying to play God on man. And the rich are for themselves. They're not for you. The really rich, they're not for you. Trust me. They've built bunkers in the ground so they can hide. But here's a warning to the very rich and the elite. You're not going to be safe in those bunkers. The only reason I'm saying that, is because the earth is going to be pulled and twisted at the core. Okay? We're having earthquakes that have never been imaginable. I think that's going to be later, though, in the future. Okay? When things get bad and have been bad, then we'll have these major super earthquakes. But not right now. We're just having the moderate 7 point whatever, 8 point whatever. The mega ones won't happen until later. But right now, there's going to be a lot of transition in the earth. We already know the magnetic poles are shifting, and they're shifting faster than they should. It should take 50,000 years, from what I've learned, for the magnetic poles to really make a significant shift. But they're shifting in a matter of years, and in some cases maybe faster than that. And there's other things that you're not aware of. Some of these glaciers, they're moving at, 40 meters a day? A lot. It's moving at like 140 feet. 140 feet an hour, I think. This one glacier's moving. Don't quote me on that, because I might have been wrong in my calculation here, but it's moving very fast. And if this glacier moves like it's moving, remember at one time the glaciers cut through the earth. So you're going to have these mega masses of ice cutting through areas, and large piece of ice banging into things when this water's rising. And some people say it's because it's not global warming, and they call it global lift or something like that, because of the pressure on the earth is pulling on, the gravity is pulling on the ocean, and it's causing it to expand. But it's probably a combination of all those things, but global warming is happening as well. And you got all these things happening at one time. This should be the question you should ask yourself. Is this coincidence? And how can it be coincidence? People have already been researching and studying things for eons. Has there been a time on the earth when mankind has been here where everything was out of whack? Not just a flood, not just an earthquake, not just a famine, not just fire, pestilence, and all that crap, and the rule of man causing man to be disgruntled and stuff like that. Was there any other time on earth, have you ever heard of all these things occurring in the same time span or in a short time span? Comment, okay? Comment. I'm telling you, things are escalating, things are happening, and they're going to hide it from your eyes the best they can. The media will. They have to. They're controlled by forces and sources higher than us. We follow the news and we say, oh yeah, this is real. They give you half-truths, and they kind of sidetrack what's really going on, or they downplay it. They do that a lot. But what I want you people to do is like I say all the time, research. Prove me wrong. I mean, absolutely prove me wrong of what I've just told you. Is it going to occur? You're going to see these things start to escalate. And the violence, that's minor. The world's going to be in turmoil, absolutely. There's going to be violence. It's going to be a normal thing in life around you. You're going to see all kinds of crazy shit happening around your life. But the thing is, it's going to be normalized. It's something that you see all the time. The things you should be concerned with most is your survival. And your survival depends on preparing and having food and being away from those areas, the highly populated areas, and stay away from the areas where the most damage from the weather is going to come. Now, this is not a gloom and doom. This is just to open up your eyes. This is like the possibility of things that can happen, but I see them as happening, and you can call me crazy. That's fine. That doesn't hurt my feelings one bit, because usually people that are perceptive are crazy. Okay, that's true. There have been a lot of great people that were just plain freaking crazy, but this is something to think about. Please research it, think about it, and check out what's going on in Cairo, Egypt. Peace out.